Hi guys, and welcome to Carol's Universe tarot readings from the heart. So today I'm back with a reading for Libra, and this is a very interesting reading, my Librans, because as soon as what I always do before I actually start a reading is I tend to shuffle the cards, because I don't really want to be shuffling and shuffling and shuffling on screen and taking up time. So I usually shuffle them pre-video and turn them out and make my little notes on them. So if I'm looking down towards the floor, it's because I'm looking at my notes, okay? And the first thing that kind of struck me about this particular reading is that I felt intuitively that it was possibly something to do with a work situation with you guys, potentially looking for employment. But running through this particular reading, money kind of struck out at me as being kind of the running theme, and maybe a struggle to get it, or a struggle to get a position, a struggle to get a job kind of leapt up at me through the reading. So I'm just going to start with week one and what I think the cards are telling me is going to happen to you guys, or potentially happens to you guys in week one. So for week 1 of October, we're looking at the Two of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune, and these really these were the cards that from the get-go suggested to me that this reading was going to be something to do with maybe a job, maybe your inability to get one at the moment, maybe there's been a lack of funds, or you know, there's just been some lack of something somewhere along the line up until now in your life. And when we look at the Two of Pentacles, it's really about balance and harmony within one's life. So for some of you Librans out there, it might be a case of that, you know, you're having to balance the books, balance money, you know, balance your time, you know, looking for a job, maybe looking after the family at the same time, you know, having trouble finding a job, applying for lots of stuff, and really trying to balance your time in doing those things. And coupled with the Wheel of Fortune, it just said to me, it spoke to me that there is going to be a change in your fortunes, hopefully for the better. This doesn't really promise anything concrete in the first week, but I think what it's saying is if you've been having problems, especially on the job front, finding a position that you want to do, or attending interviews and nothing's coming off it, or you know, balancing money and you know, trying to pay the bills on time and trying to make sure that everything's, you know, balanced in order to give you inner harmony, then don't worry, because things are actually on the up. So in week 1, we've definitely got you thinking about how you're going to balance this, how you're going to balance this, how you're going to balance putting food on the table, how you're going to balance paying the bills, you know, how you're going to balance, you know, spending time looking for a job, or whatever it is you're spending time doing, along with maybe family commitments or relationship commitments or that type of thing. Then don't worry, because when we see the Wheel of Fortune simply means that dependent on what your fortunes are at the moment, so if you're in a position where there's not much work around and you're, you know, desperately looking for something at the moment, then there is the energy of things being on the up for you, definitely. So it's nothing set in stone, it just simply means that opportunities are coming. And what struck me about both of these cards together was that they are both cards that signify some form of change happening in your life. Now in week 2 we had the Hermit reversed and also the Six of Wands. Now the Hermit really speaks about looking introspectively, so it's kind of reassessing your own spiritual take on things. It's kind of like taking the time to look inwardly at your own values, taking the time to look inwardly at your own life, just taking the time to really reassess where you're going in life, your path in life, that type of thing. Now when we see the Hermit reverse, this can either mean that you're not doing enough of that, so you're not actually looking at your life introspectively enough, or you've been focusing on it a little bit too much. So really what this card is saying is, again, and it reinforces again, funnily enough, the cards from week 1, it's about balance again. It's about taking the time out to really reassess where you're going in life, what you're doing, just taking that alone time, or potentially you're focusing too much. So if you're focusing too much on stuff that's not working at the moment, or focusing too much on your, you know, what's happening in your life, or, you know, you're evaluating your life too much, then it simply means that you need to take time out of that and perhaps put those energies into other things that are going on in your life. For example, family life, relationships, even looking for a job, if that's the case. For the Six of Wands, this is a really, really good card, because the Six of Wands simply means that it's a victory card. So it simply means that you're going to be overcoming obstacles. So as we spoke about in week 1, you know, if you've been having a difficult time finding work, having a difficult time balancing the time to do that between other commitments that you might have, you know, those obstacles will be overcome and you will be, you know, victorious in that. And there is happiness definitely coming in week 2, according to these. Now, for the 3rd week, I had 2 cards come up again, obviously. It's the Eight of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. Now, the Eight of Wands is a very interesting card, because the Eight of Wands, on the one hand, it talks, if you look at the picture on this, these Eight of Wands are being thrown, these 8 wands are being thrown, and it's almost like a really swift action that's being captured on the picture. And on one hand, the Eight of Wands talks about the swiftness of things, so how quickly events will be taking place. They also talk about new phases and new beginnings happening in your life. So they also talk about being patient. So if you have been looking for a job, or if you have been looking for a situation to resolve itself, then this is the time when it will start to unravel, and it will start to, there will start to be a resolution in your life about whatever situation it is that you need a resolution on. And there'll be swift changes coming along with that. And the Eight of Pentacles reinforces that, because the Eight of Wands speaks about new projects and new beginnings and new phases, and the Ace of Pentacles again is a card about newness. So newness coming in, new energy. So it could be that, you know, you've been introspective for a while, you've been having a difficult time balancing certain things going on in your life, you've needed clarity, and then in week 2 we look at the clarity coming in, because you either need to reevaluate your life more or reevaluate it less. So there has to be a balance there of either one side. And once you're reaching that clarity, from there the swiftness changes, because that's what the universe in essence does. Once we reach a point of clarity in our lives, once we've reached a point of being able to clear away the fog and being able to see a situation in a much more clearer sense, that's when the universe starts to put opportunities on our way and starts to bring in new stuff and starts to bring in a new energy. Once you feel a new energy, the universe just comes together with you and reinforces that energy. This reading for me isn't about concrete, you know, it's you know, if you're looking for a job at the moment, it doesn't mean on week 3 that you're absolutely going to get a job. But this reading, what it really did stick out to me and say was that the energy is there to create these circumstances coming in. So it could be that you're getting offered lots of job interviews, that type of thing, as opposed to actually landing a job. You might well land a job, but this really talks about the energy of stuff coming in. So new energy, positive energy coming through. And this is what the Ace of Pentacles really speaks. And the final 2 cards that I picked up, which were for week 4, were the Page of Swords and the Two of Swords. Now they're very, you know, I've always found swords to be quite a not traumatic, but quite in a way a frightening kind of image to look at on a tarot card, because swords are sharp and they look aggressive and they just don't look great. And I've never liked anything to do with knives and swords and that type of thing anyway. But these are pretty positive messages. They're positive, they're good and they're not so good. The Page of Swords really talks about receiving a message, so receiving messages through, okay? So it could be that you're receiving a message about a job interview coming up, and it could be that the job interview is pretty testing for you. So what the Page of Swords really talks about is to kind of be on your guard about that. If you look at the picture of the guy holding his sword up, he looks like he's on his guard. about something. He looks like he's protecting himself. He looks like he, you know, is kind of in battle mode. But he looks like he's protecting himself. He looks like he's on his guard, and that's really what this card is talking about in week 4. So this is all about, for example, I know that I've had the theme of the job interview running all the way through, but I definitely think that this reading is primarily to do with money, and it's primarily to do with how you're balancing stuff, and it's primarily to do with your goals and obstacles that you've encountered or will be encountering or may be encountering in October to achieve those goals. So for me, definitely this card to me said that you need to be prepared, which is really what I'm saying here. Be prepared for any eventualities that might come up, and be on your guard about them. So if you know that you've got a job interview for that special job that you've wanted for a long time, the interview's come through, then what you need to be doing is preparing for that job interview in a proper manner. So you need to be doing your research. You need to be looking at how you're going to approach the job interview. You're going to need to be looking at, you know, just doing your preparation and doing your homework properly, so that when you actually go into a job interview or in any kind of situation that relates to this, that you're well prepared, that you're confident, that you're comfortable, and that you know that you're going to do the very, very, very best job that you can do within whatever situation that this might relate to within your life. And the final outcome card is the Two of Swords. Now again, this looks like quite in a way an aggressive kind of card, I guess. You know, you've got a woman there, she looks blindfolded, and she's got two swords in front of her. And again, she looks like in a way that she's on the defence. But this card is all about painful situations or difficult situations coming to an end. So it's about kind of being able to see through that pain and change things around for yourself. You might still, if you're going for any job interviews that you've had to do your homework for, you might still be waiting on decisions about those, but you're really just going to have to be patient with that. That's what this card talks about as well. It talks about patience. It talks about not being too desperate, because again, I sometimes like to tie these readings in with the law of attraction, because, you know, the law of attraction talks about that when we're desperate, when we really want something to happen, that's when it doesn't happen, because we're desperate for it. But if we're relaxed, that's when things start to kind of come into our environment. And this is what this really speaks about. It's about doing the very best that you can do. Forewarned is forearmed. Being patient, waiting on decisions. And if you do all of those things, if you know that you've done your very, very best in an interview, for example, if you know that you've done the very, very best that you can in a particular situation, then hopefully the outcome should be in your favour. And if you are going through a time that's testing you at the moment, just know that from week 1, you have the Ace of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. It's about doing a balancing act. It's about working with what you have. And it's about making things work for you. So it's about, you know, if you've got low finances, then make sure that you're balancing stuff. You're making sure that things are getting paid on time. If you can't pay things on time, it's making sure that you approach your creditors or whoever you owe money to or whatever, and letting them know. It's about just keeping things running smoothly. And when you do that, you will start to see opportunities, small inklings of opportunities arising, that because you'll have created that energy of smoothness and of calmness to allow that optimism and that opportunity to come through. In week 2, we've got the Hermit in reversal and the Six of Wands. The Hermit in reversal, as I've said, is a card which speaks about if you're too introspective, if you're spending too much time on your own, worrying, wondering about your life, you're creating barriers again, so you need to loosen up on that. If you're not doing enough of that, and if you're kind of putting a lot of the important things on the back burner, then you need to concentrate on that, and you need to kind of put your energies into that. Again, it's about balance, and it's about creating a situation and an environment that's comfortable to you. When we feel balanced in mind, we feel balanced in body also. So it's definitely one of balance in that. And the Six of Wands basically talks about victory. It's a victory card. It's overcoming obstacles. So once you've got this environment of calmness, you can overcome anything. You're halfway there. The Eight of Wands and the Eight of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles in week 3. The Eight of Wands again is a card of swiftness. It's a card of changes. It's a card of things turning around for you. You know, there could be job interviews coming up, job opportunities coming in, opportunities in any other area of your life. You need to kind of jump on that, because once they come in, you need to take note of those things and really go for them, because they'll be coming in pretty quickly. And the Eight of Pentacles again is about that new energy coming in, that optimism, the turning points in your life, and really grabbing hold of those opportunities when they come to you. And the Page of Swords and the Two of Swords in the final week. Page of Swords is about being on your guard. So if you know that you've got something coming up that you need to attend to, like a job interview, and you know that you need to do your research for it, and you really want to change this situation around for yourself, the energy is all there already, but you need to play your part as well, then you really need to be doing your research, your homework. You know, you really need to be on the ball about this. And the final card in the week 4 is the Two of Swords. It's about being alert, and it's also about difficult situations coming to an end. If you can incorporate all of this advice into week 4, then hopefully it will be a favourable outcome for you. Thanks for your time, guys. See you next month.